What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Clint here with the Die Hard MMA podcast. Welcome to this week's episode of Total Madness. We are talking about UFC Fight Island 5. We're going to go through the entire card. We're going to break it down top to bottom. We're talking totals, over, under, 1.5, 2.5. That's what we're doing today. So if you're here just for the fight picks, this is the wrong video. Make sure you stick around though. Do me a favor, hit that like button, share this thing out on social media, and subscribe here to Odds HQ. Let's go ahead and dive right on into this thing. Our first fight of the night, we have got Bruno Silva taking on Tagir Ulanbekov. We've got a total set here at 2.5. The over is -170. The under is +150. And I got to tell you, I pretty much agree with this line. I think this fight is going over. I think this fight is going to the judges' scorecards. Bruno Silva is fully capable of finishing. This guy's got good blitz attacks. He's got pop on his punches. And he's a decent grappler. He's got a good submission game, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. So theoretically, he could end the fight pretty much anywhere. However, he hasn't quite been able to pull that off against anybody, and he's 0-2 so far in the UFC. Tagir is dangerous, but he's a grinder. He's one of these Russian monsters. He's a grappler. He's gonna look to take Bruno Silva down, secure a position on top, and basically grind this fight out using some ground and pound, but I don't know if he's gonna have enough oomph on his punches to go ahead and put Silva away. I think Tagir wins this thing by decision. I think that over 2.5 makes sense, and even though it's juiced a little bit, -170, that's a little too pricey for my liking, but I definitely think that's the direction that it goes. Second fight up, we've got Stephanie Egger taking on Tracy Cortez. Total once again set here at 2.5. The over is -240. The under is +200. We've talked about it before. More often than the men's fights, the women's fights tend to go to the judges' scorecards. So I have to lean with this over at -240, but that's just way too pricey. And on top of that, both of these women know their way around a rear naked choke. There's a chance that one of these women will be able to dominate the other one, get in a good position, get to the back, and sink an arm under that neck. Don't be at all surprised if one of them lands a submission of some kind in this fight. Tracy Cortez is a grappler. She's going to look for the takedown, and once she gets in close, Stephanie likes to take the back slip out the back and get on top, and she's got a solid backpack on her. It's hard to get her off. Cortez can do the same thing. So whoever's the stronger grappler here might end up with a submission victory, and I don't hate a poke at that +200. Nice big juicy line for that under 2.5. Next fight up, we've got Giga Chikadze taking on Omar Moraes. This one is set at 2.5. Once again, we've got the over at -220. The under 2.5 is +180. This is one that I am pretty certain is going to go the distance. The one of these two men that's going to finish is going to be Omar. And when I take my unders, I really like to have the opportunity for both fighters to contribute to that finish. Now, whether that's one of them contributing because of his offensive output or maybe his lack of a chin, he's got to contribute somehow. Giga Chikadze has never shown himself to be chinny, so I don't expect him to get knocked out here. He has had some struggles on the mat, but in the UFC so far, he hasn't been finished. Omar Moraes has a 6 submission game, but he's also been kind of a decision machine so far in the UFC. He can finish with a submission, but both these guys know how to strike and know how to stay safe. More often than not, I think this one makes it to the cards, and with only one guy having one path to the under, I don't think I want to play it. Ali Al-Casey taking on Tony Kelly. This total here is set at 2.5. Once again, we've got the over -190. We've got the under +165. This is one that I am very, very tempted on that under, and a nice juicy price tag at +165. Ali Al-Casey's a solid grappler, and he likes to attack his chokes. He likes to dive on people's necks. He likes to grapple, and then when his opponents are coming out of those grappling exchanges, he dives on front chokes and submissions and guillotines. There's an opportunity for him to finish here for sure. Tony Kelly, on the flip side of this thing, he is an absolute workhorse. This guy goes full bore 24/7. Solid striking, solid grappling, really solid jiu-jitsu, good defensively and offensively. He can finish on the feet and on the mat. I wouldn't be surprised if someone goes out here. Another thing to remember, Tony Kelly, I believe, is dropping a weight class. This is one I'm very, very interested to look at the Friday weigh-in show, because I want to see if cutting that additional weight is going to have any type of effect on him. If Tony Kelly is at all affected by that weight cut, Ali Al-Casey could have a much easier path to that submission. I would not hate a poke at the +165 under on this one. Next up, we have got Impa Casagne taking on Joaquin Buckley. We've got the total once again set at 2.5. You're going to see that a lot on this particular card. And remember, we are in Fight Island. We are in the big octagon. So lots of overs potential in this kind of a scenario. Total set at 2.5. Over is -185. The under is +160. Joaquin Buckley is a dude with some serious pop on his punches. This guy absolutely can crack. So because of that, there is, of course, the opportunity for this fight to go under. He can land the knockout for certain. Impa Casagne, of course, has good hands himself. He's got a great gas tank. He's shown to be extremely durable, though. Both these guys have shown to have that durability. Both of them have shown to have that pop on their punches. It's one that for some reason my gut is telling me goes over. I think there might be an opportunity for a finish here. Both guys can absolutely land a knockout, especially Buckley is capable of knocking his opponent out, but with the durability we've seen from Impa, I don't know if he's actually going to be able to pull it off. This is one that honestly I would just offer a pass on. Maybe no value on either side of that line. I would just kind of sit tight and not bother picking a total on that particular fight. We've got Chris Daukaus taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. We've got a total set at 1.5 for this one. These are the big boys. These are the heavyweights. We've got over set at +130, under set at -150. Rodrigo Nascimento, undefeated prospect, finishes 100% so far in his MMA career. 6 submission game, fast hands. Chris Daukaus, BJJ black belt, even though he's got no submissions on his record, he's got a 90% finish rate himself, and he has been finished once or twice in his MMA career already. So both these guys fully capable of finishing. Both these guys more than likely capable of being finished. This is realistically a step up in competition for Nascimento. He's never really fought anybody of any decent caliber. Even his first fight in the UFC, even his first fight in the UFC wasn't an overly tough opponent. And Chris Daukaus is going to be a test for this guy. Chris Daukaus is going to come forward. He's going to have hand speed. He's going to have power. I think somebody goes to sleep in this fight. It's just a matter of, is it before that 1.5 round mark? I would say yes. -150 is a little bit pricey for this kind of a spot, but the way these guys throw, I expect this fight to be over relatively quickly, probably a 1-rounder. I would be looking under. KB Bhullar coming in here, taking on Tom Breese. Total set at 2.5. Now we've got a decent pick'em style line here for once. We've got over set at -135 and under 2.5 set at +115. We've got the 2.5 here once again. And this is one that I think I would be leaning a little bit to the under. We've seen Tom Breese fully capable of finishing people. We've talked about the fact that he's got those mental hurdles that he's got to get over. When Tom Breese is on, he is a monster. And this kid, KB Bhullar, this is his first time in the UFC. Very exciting prospect. This kid's a finisher. So I would not be shocked if he comes in here and takes out Tom Breese. I really wouldn't. I would be leaning to the under 2.5 on this one, but there's so many questions around both fighters. How are they going to show up? Is KB ready for the big scene? Is Tom in a good mental state? Did his weight cut go well? Is he going to get nervous and pull out backstage before he's supposed to make the walk? We don't know any of those things. And because of that, I feel like that fight is probably safest just to be a fireball and popcorn event. Grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and enjoy the violence. We've got Ilia Topuria taking on Youssef Zalal. My boy Zalal. Y'all know I love this kid. We've got a 2.5, -125 to the over, +105 to the under, and I actually would be very, very interested in the under on this one. I'm scratching my head. I am taking a bit of a look at it. So Ilia Topuria, this is another undefeated prospect that's just an absolute beast when it comes to finishing. He's coming off his first ever knockout win. He's got a ton of submissions on his record. He's a big-time grappler. He likes to bully people around, take them down, put them in hard positions, and then choke them out. Youssef Zalal, however, is the exact opposite of that. This guy is elusive. He's fluid. He likes to stay on the feet, makes it hard for his opponents to touch him, and then when they get frustrated, he takes advantage of it. Now, in the UFC so far, he's been kind of a decision machine. He doesn't tend to get these fights finished when he wants to. He's got a wicked ground game. He almost finished his last fight by submission, came very, very close in both the second and the third rounds. He is absolutely capable of finishing as well, but he just hasn't quite been able to get there. I think one of these guys is going to get the other one. So either Topuria is going to come out and he's going to look like the hottest new prospect in the division, and he'll take out a guy like Youssef Zalal, which to me will speak absolute volumes, or Zalal will be able to play his game. He will frustrate this kid, and once Topuria gets dragged into those late rounds, when he sees round 2 for the first time, when he sees round 3 for the first time, we don't know how he's going to react. We don't know if he'll have the gas tank to keep up at that point in time, or if he'll break when that opportunity shows up. So I think that under 2.5 at plus 105, not a bad spot if you're looking for a little bit of value. Again, there's some questions around that one, so it's not a perfect home run spot, but both guys can definitely contribute to that under, and I can see both of them cashing it for us. Alan Baudot taking on Tom Aspinall. Now, this is the one that I'm probably going to lay the juice here. Alan Baudot is essentially a can crusher. This guy comes out and he doesn't fight any level of competition whatsoever. The first time he takes a step up in competition and takes on anybody anywhere near UFC caliber, he gets flatlined. And now he's taking on Tom Aspinall, a guy who's got really heavy hands, really sharp, crisp boxing, and a guy that just does not mess around once you close that cage door. If I'm not mistaken, Alan Baudot is also more often than not a light heavyweight fighter, not necessarily a true heavyweight. Tom Aspinall is a true heavyweight. I think this is Tom Aspinall round 1. And this is a spot where, like I said, more often than not, I want both fighters to contribute to the under cashing here. And Alan Baudot has been finished in a matter of seconds before. That counts as contributing, in my opinion. Even though he's not going to look for the finish himself, he makes it easier for that finish to actually take place. With the total set at 1.5, it's juiced minus 160 to the under. You can roll the dice at plus 140 and see if this thing squeaks over, but Alan Baudot has given me no reason to believe in his chin. And that under 1.5, if he shows up, if he's a new man, if he comes out and lands a wild bomb on Tom Aspinall, I don't see that happening in the second or the third round. I think that would happen round 1 when he's fresh. So if he's got a shot for that to happen, that under 1.5 would capture that as well. I don't mind that spot, even though it's a little bit pricey. We've got Dricus du Plessis taking on Markus Perez. This is a very exciting fight, in my opinion. I am a fan of Markus Perez, and I can't wait to see what Dricus brings to the UFC. The issue for me here is that only one of these two men is probably going to contribute to this under, because Markus Perez simply doesn't get finished. This man is made out of absolute iron. It's impossible to submit him. He can take a beating on the feet. It's hard to knock him out. He's never been finished before, and he's been fighting in the UFC. I think he's got 4 or 5 fights under his belt at the UFC level. Dricus du Plessis is a very exciting prospect. I'm stoked to see what he can do at the UFC level. I don't know that he should be a favorite coming in for his very first UFC fight, but I guess we'll find out on Saturday. Total here is set at 2.5. I think this one goes over. The under 2.5, surprisingly enough to me, is juiced at minus 125. The bookmakers are expecting a finish, and I think we get a decision. We've got plus 105 to the over, and Markus Perez is really the only guy I see finishing here in this spot, simply because, like I said, we have never seen him finished before. I'm not going to go ahead and put all my eggs in the basket of Dricus and say that he steps into the UFC and he's the first guy to take out the tough as nails Markus Perez. I think he's going to struggle with the level. I think he's going to, have to acclimate to the UFC like so many fighters do. And if Markus Perez doesn't get the finish himself, which realistically submission is his only path to victory, Markus Perez has some wild, weird, unorthodox striking. He does have a little spinning elbow that I like him to use, but he doesn't knock anybody out with it. I'm not sure he's got the power to knock anybody out. He definitely can choke you out, but Dricus du Plessis is a solid grappler himself. So Perez, more than likely, submission-only opportunity. Dricus, you could say maybe he gets the finish, but I don't know if he does. And Markus Perez definitely, like I said, cast iron. We're not expecting this guy to go down easily. So I would say over 2.5 at plus 105 would be the look for that fight. We've got Big Ben Rothwell taking on Marcin Tybura. We've got the total set again at 2.5 here. Over 2.5 is minus 150. Under 2.5 is plus 130. And unfortunately, I think I have to look at the over. Big Ben Rothwell is the guy that can finish this fight. The only problem is he's completely untrustworthy when he needs a finish. When we saw him down with the Stefan Struve fight because he had that illegal nut shot, I think 3 of them, he had a point taken from him, and he knew he couldn't win on the judges' scorecards. So he went, pardon the expression, balls out, and he knocked out Stefan Struve. Now, Stefan Struve is a relatively chinny fighter. He's been knocked out many times before, and it took Ben Rothwell knowing there was no opportunity for him to win on the scorecards whatsoever before he was willing to turn it up to that level. So I don't expect him to come in with a sense of urgency in this fight, because he never does. And if he doesn't come in with a sense of urgency, I think this fight gets to the later rounds. If there's going to be a finish in this fight, I would expect it to come maybe in round 3 when both these guys are tired. However, it's a heavyweight fight. Both of them are going to be tired. I don't know if either of them will have the energy to finish in round 3. Marcin Tybura is more of a karate stylist. He's light on his feet. He's athletic for a heavyweight. Even though he's good on the ground, I don't see him submitting Ben Rothwell. And Ben Rothwell is one of these ever durable type of fighters. I don't think Tybura is going to have the opportunity to knock him out. I think this one goes to the judges' scorecards. I think it's another nasty, hairy split decision. Over 2.5 at -150 would be the play if you're going to take a spot on that one. Edson Barboza taking on Makwan Amirkhani. We have got a very, very interesting striker versus grappler in our co-main event this weekend, and I'm very much looking forward to this fight. Once again, total set at 2.5. The over is +110. The under is -130. This is a spot where I am extremely interested in that under. I'm very, very tempted to take this under 2.5 because the way I see it is Makwan either gets in on the hips of Edson Barboza or catches a kick early to take him down and chokes out Edson Barboza, because that's what Makwan does. When he gets to the floor, his submissions are scary. This kid is aggressive. I like what he does. But Edson Barboza is notoriously hard to take down, notoriously hard to finish. So if he doesn't get that finish, Makwan doesn't have the gas tank or the wrestling pressure style that we've seen just kind of grind Edson Barboza out. I don't think that's what he's going to do. If Makwan is going to get this win, I think he needs the finish. On the flip side of this, Edson Barboza is a massive finisher, crazy knockout power, wicked kicks, legs, body, head. He can knock you out from literally anywhere with those feet. And if Makwan Amirkhani slows down, if he gasses, if he can't get the takedown, if he shells up, he's going to be a sitting duck. And even a guy as durable as Dan Hooker was not able to take the onslaught of Edson Barboza at kicking range. So I think Barboza will end up getting a second round knockout if Makwan Amirkhani is not able to get that first round submission. Either way, I think this fight is going under, and this is a perfect example of both men absolutely contributing to us cashing that under, and I think that -130 is a very reasonable price tag. Cory Sandhagen taking on Marlon Moraes. We've got a banger of a main event here. I am so pumped for this one. The total is set at 3.5 here, which makes this exceptionally interesting to me. Now, Marlon Moraes seems to have gas tank issues. When he can't get his opponents out of there in the first round, he struggles. We've seen it time and time again. He slows down in round 2, and he slows down badly in round 3. So Marlon Moraes is kind of, if any of you play, League of Legends or any type of video game, this dude's a glass cannon. He will take you out early and quickly, and if he can't, you're probably going to break him. Cory Sanhagen is the exact opposite of that. Cory Sanhagen is durable. He's shown no reason for us to fear for his durability concerns, and all he does is volume, 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 volume. With a guy like Sandhagen taking on a guy like Moraes, Marlon's either going to get that KO, he's going to get it quick, he's going to get it early, or Sandhagen's going to take over. And with the struggles we have seen from Marlon Moraes, he will not be able to handle the pressure that Sandhagen puts on him in the later rounds. I think this is a smash spot for the under 3.5. I'm honestly surprised they set it at 3.5 rather than 2.5, because it would be a very difficult discussion to have at 2.5, but under 3.5. Now remember, for those of you who are relatively new to betting, or maybe the sites are a little bit different, make sure you check your site's rules, because some people have that half round counting towards the full round. I know that sounds strange. Most American books, 3.5 rounds means that if you complete 3 full rounds and then 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the 4th round, that's a half of a round, that's what you're looking for the finish in. So we can get an early finish in round 4 and still cash this bet. Other books, some overseas books, again, check your listings. If it says 3.5 rounds, that means it has to start round 4. So that means if the finish happens, I'm sorry, I spoke incorrectly there. The half round is round 4, which means it would essentially go to round 5. Very confusing. More often than not, though, it's the 2 minute and 30 second mark of the next round. So if we have the 3.5 total here, I like the under, because I think that Cory Sandhagen is going to finish this fight in the 3rd. If he doesn't finish it in the 3rd, I think he finishes it in the fourth. This is one of those spots where the later this fight goes, the more opportunity that Cory Sanhagen has to finish. If this thing's going to stop early, either one of these guys can finish it. Rounds 1 through 3, both these guys can contribute to that under. Round 4, I don't know that Marlos can contribute at that point, but Sandhagen certainly can, and Marlon will be a shell of himself in those later rounds. That's Total Madness, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out with me this evening. Looking forward to Saturday. Good luck on all your action. I try to get to everybody, so if you have a question or a specific thing that you're looking for, comment down here below or hit me up at DieHard MMA Pod over on Twitter. I love the interaction. Have a great day. Good luck on all your bets, and we will see you for the fights on Saturday.